Aloha and welcome to the second rendition of my PG tutorials. Now, we are here in Serbule, which is the starting point, pretty much the starting point you'll be at when you teleport off the island. Now, there's another way off the island, and that's through the tunnels, but most folks don't realize that there is another dungeon to go through there. And I suggest you probably going through there and then manage your way to Serbule somehow using the teleports afterwards. But you should just explore. Should you pop up in this area, there's some things that you'll want to know. This place is heavily lagged. It is the main hub of everything at the current moment. So all the players sit here, so naturally there's going to be quite a bit of lag. So there's some of the things that you want to do is turn down some settings. As you can see, everything's pretty, got trees everywhere. You can see everything far away. But if you're looking at the top, my frame rates are down to 20 and 30. And I have a pretty powerful computer, considering. So a lot of these trees, they're called speed trees. It's one of the newer additions to Serbule and Serbule Hills. These are two zones that actually have these trees. And there's a couple of other optimizations in here that are not very optimized at all. So what you want to do is you're gonna want to turn down and tone down some of the settings in this game. So we're gonna go through that right now. That way I can move around and actually show you the rest of the things I want to show you. So, settings, graphics. What we're going to want to do is show advanced options. So we want to hit show advanced options. Also, I run on Ultra, so I like everything looking pretty and nice and all the shadows and all kind of stuff, but I run an Ultra regardless. So most of you probably won't be running on top ultra settings, even though that this game may seem like an older running engine. It is not. It is running Unity 5, and it is a very much currently up-to-date engine for graphics. But the graphics itself just seem older, more old school. So, but there's a lot of unoptimized things around, so we're going to take care of that right now. So let's start going down the list over here. Shadow distance. You want to drop your shadow distance down halfway, at least to somewhere that your eye can see. You don't want to be rendering super far. If I set it back to 1,000 or 500, it's going to be rendering further than I can actually see, and therefore it's going to take up a lot of performance. So I drop it roughly around 200. And I'll hit save. Texture memory. If you've got a lot of memory on top of your video card, go ahead and set this to 0. That way you don't get lag spikes here and there. And another one for me is target frame rate. This will lock your frame rate to 60, regardless. But I like to turn it off, so I set it to 0. That's my personal. Now, tree draw distance. This one is a pretty big killer for a lot of people and their PCs. Now, there's a strange bug with this that you can set this as high and low as you want, and nothing will change on your FPS. Basically, you have to restart your client with the current setting, like say at 600 or at 500, 400, and then it will show some effect. But usually, I just turn it off. I turn it off for a couple of reasons. It makes it easier for me to forage and look for little ground plants that are hidden in the foliage. So that can be pretty hard when there's tons and tons of tree around. But some people like it exciting like that. I like it half and half. So when I'm foraging, I usually have this out. When I just want to enjoy the gameplay, I'll turn my trees on. So boom, I'll hit that. And look, my frames immediately strike up to 73 from 20. That right there is a major killer to graphics because of the speed trees that are being currently used. It's a new technique. It's not optimized yet currently. So yeah, and other zones like Eltibule, older zones like that. Um, well, Serbule is one of the older zones. The other zones, Eltibule and all that, are running standard Unity trees. So yeah, it's not going to lag as bad. So, and those of you who like trees on, um, you can probably set the max high res trees to 50, so you can see a lot of nice trees, and then there's going to be a couple that are around. Another one might be is more useful for those that have lower NPCs is grass draw. So the grass draw distance I like to set somewhere around 173. As you can see in the distance right there, that some of them disappeared. So if I walk forward, it'll continue to bring more grass up, as you can see. That's fine for me. That helps with a little bit of lag for those on older PCs. So grass draw density 100. So if you don't want grass because you can't see your flowers on the ground, go ahead and turn that off. It'll turn it right off. Some zones do not have grass, so don't worry about it. Ground base map distance, it's how good the ground is in a further distance. So this is a tweak that is more useful to players that have smaller PCs. So you can set that a little bit lower, and you'll get a marginal boost in here. So terrain shadows is another one. I like to turn that off or turn it on. That's for me. That's mostly for me. I like to see shadows, of a lot of things. Water quality will also affect things, so you can set that to roughly 1 if it's at 0. See, you notice that my frames jumped from 70 to 80. It's because the water is still underground and it's still being rendered. And 0, I'm not too sure what 0 is on top of the rendering algorithms, but switching it to 1 in the middle of 1 to 2, just helps a lot with the stuff. So another one is camera far clipping plane. This one renders everything in the distance. So 1,000, you're basically rendering everything that you cannot see. So I suggest setting this to roughly around 500. And that will help because I'm looking currently at Serbule Keep, and my frames just dropped to 64. That is one of the most heavily, most heavily populated areas in this game, and it lags very badly. And they're currently working on top of that, so far clipping plane can help, especially if you're running around Serbule Keep and killing animals and stuff for your quests in there. So that's a good one to set. And going down a little bit more is bloom. Okay, the lighting in this game can be horrid, especially in certain areas, especially when dawn comes up and it's blaring over the mountains. The blooming effects can go crazy, so I like to turn those off, and it kind of smooths out the graphics a little bit, makes things a little bit darker, of course. There's another setting way at the top called brighter world. If you want to enable that, go ahead, but if I enable it, it becomes too bright for me, my personal liking, so I keep that turned off just for me. So tilt shift, this is a interesting one. If you can see the sides of my monitors, you notice that they're blurred up, kind of like a fisheye lens. Tilt shift does that. It's a filter that adds in, so I like to turn it off. So boom, now if you look at the sides of my monitor, it's clearer. It's not blurred out. So, it's kind of like a panoramic view or some stuff like that. So, I like to turn it off because it bugs me. It makes my eyes feel weird. So, I like to turn that off. Screen space ambient occlusion. That's for newer video cards, mostly the 9 series, uh, NVIDIA to the 10 series. Usually you can just turn it off. It's just it'll make the world just a tad lit brighter, just a tad lit brighter. So that's perfectly fine for me. So now that we've got all those changes done, that is also available on. It's also an available tutorial on the forums that I have posted up in Picturesque forum if you want to read that. Um, I'm going to go to now the second settings of that, the special settings. Let's see, specials. So specials that I have set up is max active loads. Max active loads -1 basically turns off one of the optimization. This is a test for me. Nobody else should really do it, but it supposedly improves loading screen times, which I haven't found the right good setting for. So you write that in there. You look at the max active load, and you write that in there. -1 usually shuts things off or some stuff like that. 0 can shut some off as well, but otherwise no. Easy drop items. If you're really used to like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, and EverQuest 2, and all those other MMOs where you can drop an item out of your inventory without having to drop it to a little bag. See, in order to drop an item, normally you would have to drop it to this little bag here, or right-click and drop. But if you do an easy drop items here, you write it inside there and then you click save, you can take these items, or you can take these items and drop it right on the ground straight out from there. So, and I'm just going to pick that back up. Serbule has a lot of people in it, so the no slow boxes can help you, mainly because if you've noticed that items, or not items, but NPCs have a little blue box around them, that is part of the UI. So let me get to the little setup that says no slow boxes. So this will disable an experimental optimization that slows down the selection box placement code when there's 15 plus players on screen. I shut that off. I find it helps with the lag. At least for me. That's a personal thing. It might not be for you. It might not know. So I also set no cull. Disables basically the occlusion culling in the area. Currently Serbule Hill, Serbule, and Gazelle Keep have that. I just turn it off. It can help with performance for some folks. And the other ones is the ability tips. See, watch. I'll set this back to 100, and I'll hit save. So it didn't save. Oh well, it didn't save. But anyway, the ability tips. Basically, this little, the ruby red wall crystal, this little tool tip right here will be in upper corners of your screen. So by setting the tool tips to -1, it will basically set it so that it is at your cursor. I personally like that because I'm used to a lot of older MMORPGs that have the tooltips straight on top of things, so it doesn't bother me all too much. Alright, now let's get into a little bit more gameplay here, and let's head into town and explain some things. You're new to the game. Now what are you gonna do? What should you be doing? Well, let's have a run into town. Alright, here we go. We are in town. This is the major hub of Project Gorgon. Now, as I'm running through, you notice that I'm stop lagging a little bit. especially around here. It gets really worse in peak times. Basically, when you're trying to move around with your mouse, you'll spin around and just currently lag. That's because of the animations. So what we're going to do in town, while I'm currently in town, is I'm going to go back to the GUI and graphics settings, and I'm going to touch up with the entity animation distance multiplier. So I'm going to set this to 0, but I like to see my character walking. If I set it to completely 0, that will stop all the animations from everybody playing. So I'm going to set it to 0.005 so that I am still walking. You can see that I'm still walking. But everybody else will slide across the ground. This is a very helpful thing for everybody. Everybody. Because no matter what you do, you're going to lag in town. And that's generally only Serbule. Just Serbule Keep here. So I'm going to be walking around. So I'm going to be walking around here. And I got no lag. So, first things first. Let's visit some NPCs here. Alright. Let's visit Marna. Marna here is an NPC. She will buy everything. She'll buy anything and everything, but she doesn't have a very large money pool at all. As you can see, as I talked about earlier, favor. My favor is like family with her. So that's one step behind soulmates. So she has a larger money pool. So basically, her money pool is 3,600 for me currently. That's really actually not that much at all. It's terrible. But she will train you in things like first aid and all that sort, which I've already trained, so you won't see it here. One of the biggest things about her is storage. You have a limited amount of storage in your inventory here, so you're going to need to find places that have storage, NPCs that have storage, and maxing out Marna is one of the reasons why. As you can see, I've stuffed a lot of stuff in here, and I have multiple storages all over the place. And Marna will store anything, so I've got books in here like Psychology Mach 3, Pouncing Wren for that, and Sword Decapitate. And then I've got a whole bunch of wood because I'm a carpenter and a tailorer at the same time. So that's that. And earlier, as I talked about, do favors. There's more favors in here. You can give gifts. Marna, I will give a secret out. She loves vegetarian dishes and animal skins. So one of the first things that you want to do in this game is acquire a skinny knife. So ask in chat. Go ahead and ask in help or ask in trade where you can buy a skinny knife. That'll be one of the ways that you will get money in this game, and also reputation for certain NPCs. Marna is one of the ones that you definitely want to get up, so do that. She'll buy anything. She also sells. She's also one of the sellers that will have cures to diseases that you might find early in game. Let's see here, if I'm not lagging a little bit here. See, like feeble fever, you'll catch those. The lunatic shakes, you'll catch those especially. She's got belts. She sells first aid kits, and she's the only seller out there that has the classic loot at the moment. And this is for gaining your bard skill. If you want to become a bard, you need to get this classic loot, and it will enable music performance for you, and you need to strum yourself in the town and play some music. And then I'll give this spoiler out. There's a NPC in, I'm not going to tell you his name, but there's an NPC in Serbule Hills Inn that is the bard trainer. So go ahead and visit him if you want to play bard. Bard's an excellent class. Very fun one to play. It's always nice to have a bard. And there's the little word game here. You can play a word game, but I think Sir Koth cheats. My god. I think he cheats so badly. The NPC that you play against, he cheats. I think he cheats. Damn it. I'm not sour about that. Plus, I'm terrible at word games. Anyway. Alright. So, let's go to the next NPC that you should get a lot of favor with. And this is Joy. Joy is kind of weird. But he also has storage. But you can only store items or equipment on him, things that you wear on your body. That's the only thing that you can do. So, if you got a lot of equipment, and you can just drop it on top of him. Or if you're doing like say he's ran out of money. See, I'll go right over here and I'll go down right over here. So he has I'm best friends with him, so he has a pool of 40,000. And how cash works in this game is each vendor has their own money pool. And the money pool goes up higher for how much favor that you have with them. So you always want to get them higher so you can also get more money in the game. So you'll be finding that you'll be getting favor with a lot of NPCs out there. So be ready for that. So, but say that he runs out of loot and you have all this loot on top of you and you don't have any other vendors. Well, if it's all gear, just drop it inside here. I mean, it's a big list. He gives you a big storage right at the beginning. And so you can just drop a whole bunch of stuff inside there, and then, you wait a week. Literally, it's about a week for the money to refresh from the time you have bought or sold something to them. So vendors will change times, randomly. It's because it's the first time you ever sell something or buy something from them. So as you get higher level, you can do consignment with them. This is so you can sell stuff. See, I'll show you. If I put something in here and set a price here, and it'll show up in the shop under consignments. So you need a little bit of favor to even see consignments for anything. So you can buy gear from other players that have consigned right over here, and there's quite a big list over here, and the prices are okay. It turns out that things like mini dulcimers, they're a little bit on the expensive side, I'd say. Bard stuff gets pretty expensive, so you can give gifts to him. He likes swords, he likes shields, he hates jewelry, but he loves meat. I'll give this little hint. He loves bacon. That's a spoiler, I'm sorry. But if you want to get his favor up really fast, which I suggest, give him bacon. Make yourself bacon. You can make bacon in cooking. You just got to learn how. Or if you're a little on the richer side, you can buy the bacon from people, or you can buy it from the innkeepers. So he's another one to level up. He's a good one. So let's see here. We got Velcourt here. Velcourt is the fire mage trainer. He is the one that if you want to do real magic and not pseudo magic, we got pseudo magics called mentalism and psychology. Those are pseudo magic skills, but Velcourt will do fire magic. And it's a little on the pricey side, so I don't suggest it early out in the game until you get something higher. So he will train fire magic for you, introduction to fire magic. It gets really expensive, as you can see right over here. It's not just the price of the training, it is the materials that you need to get to train or learn your skills. Your skills are learned just like in crafting here. See, I'll go in my crafting, but I don't have fire magic in here, so I can't really show you. So that'll be something that you go by. And look, there's a cute little bat here. How about that? If you ever want to be a bat, go ahead. But if you want to do an animal thing, do that with caution, because a lot of the NPCs will not talk to you. Some of them will be downright rude to you. Joa won't talk to you. Marna won't talk to you. Hulong, you'll have to bribe. Oh, speaking of Hulong, Hulong is the bank. He is the main storage of the game. So he's also another one that you want to gain favor with. I unfortunately have not bothered getting favor with him, but I really should. There's probably a couple of hidden things that I'm missing from him. So, but he likes prepared food, seedlings, and seeds. And I'm usually selling all my seeds. So, well, and he buys things like books and lycanthropy things, and just lore stuff like that. Velcourt also buys the same thing, so they're vendors that you can go to and buy stuff, and you can also look through them for any skills that you might need. Like, oh, I need this art of golden dragon statues, or no, I need books, or look, decapitate 3 for my sword skills. Because there's some skills out there that you can only get through books or learning it from specialized trainers, but these specialized trainers, you require like goblinese or something like that, but still the books are available out there if you can find them. So getting up favor with Hulong is good. What he'll do is storage. You can see that I have a fair amount of storage in him, but I can buy the slots. So if I want to buy another slot, it's going to cost me 2,500 consoles, and that can get pretty expensive for a low-level player. So just try to get favor with him. There's a druidic emergency coming up soon, so that means a lot of druids are going to start complaining. What happens with a druidic event is, if you're a druid, you must go to these events or you're not going to get EXP for anything that you do. You must do the events, and that's one of the reasons why druids have a hard time. Another person to get good standings with is Larson. Larson will buy all of your jewelry. So these amulets right over here, and he'll also buy gems of all sorts, but he also loves gems. He loves gems to gain his favor up, and fancy rings. Also, the reason why you want to get favor up on all these NPCs is because when you're selling items to them, they're not going to buy them at max cost unless your favor is high. So get those favors up, and you'll be enjoying the game a lot more. And another weirdo over here is Mushroom Jack. He will buy a lot of weird items, and he likes mushrooms. He literally likes mushrooms. Mushrooms, headgear, body parts, and miscellaneous junk. So here's another person to sell stuff, especially if you go into the dungeons and, you've collected 99,000 spider legs or something like that. You can just go to him and sell it to him, and he likes it. He also likes it as favor. So let me go down over here a little bit further. And here's Etcher. He's weird. He's a drug addict. I'll let you figure him out later on. He's someone that also is a trainer for one of the major skills in the game. So like that. And here's Reese. Reese is in the ground because of the entity animation distance lock. She is the trainer for a lot of gardening stuff. So this is the garden here, and this is where you basically grow all your vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So as you can hear the music that's playing in the background, people will play music over here because it helps the plants grow better. Literally, you can sing them to grow better. And then we got Harry the Wolf. He's one of the werewolf guys. I don't know much about them because I'm not a werewolf. But He's dancing at the moment. That's why he fell over. It looks like he fell over. See, I'll get close to him and you see he's bouncing all around, dancing because of the music that's going on. So, there's some creatures, some animal creatures have dances and all that. So it's enjoyable to watch. Just fall over, flop. But he sells. He doesn't talk to you unless you're an animal. So let's give a quick look. I'll change myself into a deer because I am a druid. But my main class was deer at one point, so he'll talk to me as a deer. So he sells. He likes to help out his cursed victims or fellow cursed victims. So he sells first aid kits, power gels, basic pants, and lycanthropy belts, cunning wolf belts, and unbat juice. You saw that bat earlier, didn't you? To become I'll give a little bit of a spoiler on top there because some of you are curious. To become a bat, you need to have a bat player bite you in combat. There is barely any PvP, so there's a house right over here. This little house has a PvP center in it. Not many people go to it, but there is 2 rather strong for low level NPCs in there that will attack you on sight, so be careful when going in there. So let's see, what else can I give you? Yes, let's go into the traders section. As I mentioned earlier about things, this man right here, Tadion, he's just in, is the blacksmith trainer. So those of you that want to do blacksmithing, he gain his favor up. And he also has storage. He's one of the few guys out there that have storage when at higher level favor. If I remember correctly, he's one of the ones that have storage. I could be wrong. You never know. And there's a tanning rack over here for those of you that are leatherworking, and the forge is right over here. So, and all around you see NPCs over here of player vendors. So all these vendors over here are player owned, and so far, so forth. Now here you are walking up to the guild roster. So, I'll give an expansion. So my guild is called Illegitimus. And here's the roster. You can see guild status. Here's the guild. We're guild level 0. We haven't really done any of the guild stuff. I'm working on it. I'm working on that currently. But here's the guild roster. There's a lot of people on top. You can see how long and how many days and who's online now. You can buy stuff like pineal juice, pineal juice, agahortas, and higher level, healing potions, eternal greens for those cows. Wait, strange wheat that's supposed to bring back to. I don't know what that is, but there's a lot of interesting things like Edam cheese. Edam cheese is so nice, but it costs guild credits. And then there's teleportation stuff, first aid resuscitate, and that's to bring back basically our version of resurrection. And then all these cow, deer disguises for those animal players. But only 3 disguises are available. I think there might be more for other things, but yeah, these will disguise the deer players to be able to talk to NPCs that usually don't, or cow players or pig players, and so forth. So we got that's the guild roster, and inside this building here is guild chests. So these are chests that are collective amongst your guild members that you can put stuff in for each other, and so forth. There's 2 of them, and right here is the gardening, the vault storage book. So basically, each town. Okay, there's Serbule. There's the Animal Town vault. That's in Sunville. Kerr Mountains also has a vault, and Rahu has a vault. And these are 3 major, or the 4 major places that have vaults. and you can donate some money to your guild to buy extra slots. So I suggest doing that if you got a smaller guild and you got some money to spare. Help out with that. And these altars, I'm not too sure what they are. I think they're for animal handling. So one of the things I did not go over in the other section was animals. So I'll talk about actual animal handling. So let's go. I don't have actual animal handling, to be honest. Let's see, animal. Yeah, I don't have animal handling, but I can teach you about the pets that go. So my deer class gives me a deer, just a giant deer. It's strong. So if you look down at the bottom of your bar, there's going to be a little cat head, pets. So right there's your pet windows. It has all your commands, like staying still, following mode, just guard mode, and assist mode. So this animal will help you out. So let's see here. If I switch over to my necromancy, use my loadout. Oh, I forgot I need to be in a graveyard. So can't do that. So I could have with this deer setup, deer necromancer skill, or deer skill and necromancer skill, I can have a total of 3 pets out. I have 2, say, battle mages, fire wizards. That's pretty much what they are. And this right here makes a pretty powerful combination. It's not too bad. Deer is mostly a tanking class. It's not a very heavy damaging class, so it's pretty much just that. An off-tank class. It's got a lot of AoE taunts. Like, see, this is King of the Forest 3. It does 153 damage and an extra 20,000% taunt. And then I've got other extra skill effects from my gear, like it adds 90% chance to deal an extra 60 damage, another 90 to do 90, and then it also gives me slashing, piercing, crushing, mitigation +7. So that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good tanking skill just to hit off and go out. But let me get out of my deer form here and switch back. So loadouts. You get more loadouts as you level up. So I have currently 4 classes, level 50 and 60 plus. So it gives me quite a bit of loadout stuff. So I'm going to switch over to Hammer Deer. I like that the most because I can still have my speed buffs active from my deer side. Here's some mushrooms. So anyway. Yes, and I missed one NPC in town. That would be Finor. Finor is also a very good person to get your favor up with. He likes fish. He likes meats, milk and cheese, vegetables, prepared foods, and hates crystals and gems. Not sure why, but he's a good one to get up. He's your one of the few cooking trainers out there. There's another one in Serbule Hills. But this is a good way to get your cooking up really fast. Also, to get your favor up pretty fast with him, you want to go fishing. But first, before I do that, this is the inn here that you find in town. There is a poetry podium over here. Every Sunday, there's usually a big poetry party for everybody, and poetry books are very, very expensive. So if you can't afford them, visit the poetry parties on Sundays, or anytime you hear somebody saying they're going to do a poetry jam. So you want to get that up there, You need it for quite a few things. There's so many skills in this game that it's not even funny. I'll go through a whole list of them right over here real quickly. That you got yourself alchemy over here, beast speak, just deer cooking, endurance, first aid, fishing, foraging, gardening, geology, goblinese, gourmand. And gourmand is basically what you need to eat. The higher your gourmand level, the better foods that you can eat. So that's one that you definitely want to level up as quickly as possible. You got mycology. Mycology is the art of picking up mushrooms. Now, there's a difference between picking up mushrooms and actual foraging. Foraging for plants and all that stuff is foraging. Picking up a mushroom is called mycology. So there's two different skills. So your foraging won't go up if you pick up mushrooms. So you got necromancy, notoriety. Notoriety is for killing bosses, and it's really good. If you can get high points in them, the cost of training by NPCs costs -1, and it's permanent, and you get your skills a little bit cheaper. And in performance, this is your bard stuff. Basically, you just need an instrument that you can play, and you play it. Literally, you just play it. I do not have an instrument on me, so I can't show you that. There's poetry appreciation, which helps with flower arrangement and artistry. Yes, there is flower arrangement in this game that you can do, and you can put down specialty things to boost your percentage in gaining EXP for harvesting, gardening, cooking, you name it. There's a flower arrangement for something. And there's psychology, there's a retail management, skinning, surveying, swords, tanning, teleportation, tool crafting, and unarmed. Those are just some of the skills that you'll see. You want to visit the wiki, the Project Gorgon wiki, for the rest of all those skills. And let me show you one last thing. Fishing. So you want to get your cooking up, and you also want to get Feanor's favor up. You go fishing, and fishing is pretty simple. You do not need a pole. You just jump in the water and grab that fish. And here's somebody that drowned, and that would be a higher level player. They drowned. Must have been not paying attention. So you just go there and grab the fish. Grab those clownfishes, grab those crabs, start making stuff. Now, you're going to find that some of the recipes require eggs, and there's an unfortunate bug that the chickens aren't laying eggs very often. So people tend to kill the chickens for the eggs, and that's not really a good way of doing it. Honestly, following the chickens around, the more chickens in the area, the more they'll just lay eggs. So try to stay away from recipes that require eggs, because right now they're just too rare, and yes, just too rare. So go ahead and do everything else. Keep everything, sell everything. Also, one thing that I missed to show you, as you talk to NPCs, you'll get items. See, and you're trying to remember, who wants this item? So you want to right click on top of an item, like I'm right clicking on clownfish here, and select more info. So more info will show me the recipes that I can use in them. Some of them are unknown because I do not know these recipes, like especially for meditation. You need fish for meditation. I don't know why. Stick it in your nose or something. So gifting. So Feanor loves fish. Jace Sorrel is somebody I know in Kerr Mountains. Kalaba in Edabille, and Red in Kerr Mountains. And there's one more person that I have not met yet that loves fish. So if you're ever stuck on who wants favor, you always want to right click and show more info and find. This will show you how many of these items that you have in an area. So I have 59 of these fishes in Eltabule, a storage in Eltabule, and I have currently 21, or currently 2, not 21, 2 in my inventory, and a total of 61 everywhere. So finding, is pretty handy. Let's go and say you really want to look for an item that you don't remember. So like, I need to look for crude rolls. So I'm just going to type a basic thing. I'm going to type crude. So in the storage machine, which is basically Hulong. Hulong is the storage guy, but I have crude filiguston in there. That's not what I'm looking for. And Ukorga, he's also another person for storage. He has 19 of my crude animal skins. Marna, who I was talking about earlier with all that stuff, has all my crude rolls that I was looking for. So here's my crude rolls, and in my personal inventory, there's crude oil. So the search function is very good. You also want to use the sort inventory button. I like to use it a lot to make everything look nice because I hate a dirty inventory. But this character is wearing a heart-staking amazing cloth pants. It gives plus 20 inventory. So that's why from my tutorial with my newbie character, there was less space, and in this one I have way more space. But some of the space is also being used up in this section. These are inventory folders. They do not add space or extra bags to you. Basically, they're folders to put things in. So I put all my worn gear in this folder so it doesn't show up in this folder. And this folder is where I collect all my stuff. Third folder, I have no idea what I'm going to do for yet. So I'll probably put potions and other miscellaneous food items in there perhaps. So all I have to see is, just stuff to sell in one folder. So I'd like to get another shirt with some more slots, but they're very expensive, and my current shirt for the current build that I have is really powerful with some skills and mods that I have onto it, so it's really hard to want to switch out. Maybe if I'm farming I can do that, but in dungeons, when I'm running dungeons, I really can't. I need those attacks. So, yes. So that concludes this little tutorial. I'll be making more in the future for other things, but this covers most of the basics in the game. And look, a chicken has laid an egg right over there. So I'm going to go pick that up real quickly. How lucky is that? I'm sure Gildy would like that. So remember, explore the game and have fun. Find a guild. Illegitimus is always recruiting. I'm not trying to, sway it for other guilds, but look for other guilds out there. Our guild is currently not actively doing a lot of guild quests, but soon. There's other guilds out there that do them, so you probably benefit a lot more from there. But if you want a nice group of players that play on Discord, ours is the place. We're always looking for many more people to hang out with. So mahalo and thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it has helped somebody.